Hi friends, Dr. Jim Daly here from Astronomy for Change. Well, we're about to change season once again. I remember it wasn't too long ago we were talking about the change from spring to summer. Now here summer's ending and we're going to be beginning fall this Monday. This Monday, September 23rd, is the official beginning of autumn. Fall begins, summer is behind us, and with that a whole new season, a whole new series of changes is in store. What does this mean, the official beginning of autumn? Well, the long and short of it is, it's the astronomical beginning of autumn. When the sun, in its movement across the sky, traveling along what we call the ecliptic, this imaginary line on the sky, that the sun and all objects in the solar system appear to travel, that line with the sun crosses the celestial equator, the projection of the Earth's equator onto the sky. Also, while we're here, this is the sky tonight for Saturday, September 21st, 2 days before the autumnal equinox. Let's take a look at what the sky has in store for us tonight. We notice that the sun here is very close to setting. It's almost 6 p.m. Now if we turn off the atmosphere, look what's here. We have Mercury and Venus as evening stars, and we have Mars on the west side of the sun, which tells us that Mars will be an early riser, rising just a few moments before the sun in the morning. So 3 out of the 8 planets in our solar system are too close to the sun to observe, and if we move the sky forward, let's take a look. We'd have to, actually, they wouldn't even be visible. The sun's light it's still too great, it's still too brilliant to see these planets. So we're going to just slowly move the sun. And we see Jupiter's coming out. Let's take a look at where our planets are. They're behind that tree. They're still way too close to the sun for easy observation. Okay, the usual stars, the stars of summer, are still there. The favorites of the season, along with Jupiter and Saturn, forming this V-shaped pattern here in the southern sky. Looking due south, we see Jupiter and Saturn. We see Antares here, even just after sunset. Okay, Antares is decidedly to the west of the meridian, identified here. If we look at the southern, if we look due south, this would describe the meridian, the imaginary line that extends the north to the south. And we'll take a look at that in a moment when we discuss what the official beginning of a season actually means. There are 4 of them. We have the 2 equinoxes, the autumnal equinox, which is going to occur this Monday, September 23rd, and we have the vernal equinox, the official beginning of spring. Okay, and then we have the 2 solstices, which the next one will be the winter solstice, which happens in late December, and we have the summer solstice, which happens in late June. Okay, those are the 4 primary markers of the year, okay, changing of the seasons. Okay, and that again is upon us this Monday. What do we notice about this change in the seasons in the case of the equinoxes and the solstices? Well, in the case of the equinoxes, the term equinox suggests, rightly so, the equality of the day and night. On that day, on those 2 days, the autumnal equinox coming up on Monday, and the vernal equinox, in the latter part of March every year, there's going to be equal hours of daylight and darkness, day and night, 12 hours each. In the case of the solstices, for example, the summer solstice, it's the longest day and the shortest night, and conversely, for the winter solstice, which occurs in late December, we have the longest night and the shortest day. Okay, it's when the sun is at its furthest southern point And we'll get to talk about that when the time comes. And in the summer, it's at this highest point in the sky with the greatest amount of energy from the sun, the greatest amount of insolation, which has a result, manifests itself in the northern hemisphere with the warmest temperatures, and in the case of the winter solstice, the coolest temperatures. And for the changing from the summer to the winter, the autumnal equinox, and in the vernal equinox for the beginning of spring, it's more of a moderate temperature, results in more moderate temperatures. It's not too much of a change between day and night. Between one day and the next, around that time, the temperatures are more moderated, whereas in the summer and the winter, the temperatures are at their extremities for the particular point on the surface of the Earth. Now, it also was instructed to point out that in the southern hemisphere, and our friends down in Australia, they're experiencing the exact opposite of what we're experiencing. For them, it's their beginning of spring on Monday, and in December, when we're experiencing the winter solstice, that's when they're having their summer solstice. Okay, so because they're in the southern hemisphere, and as a result of the Earth's tilt, it's inverted. In the southern hemisphere, they're experiencing the exact opposite conditions that we're experiencing here in the northern hemisphere. Let's go forward a little bit. Take a look at our evening sky. It's a lovely sky, a late summer sky, early fall sky, with the beginning of the fall. We still have the summer favorites as Sagittarius. We have Scorpio. It's beginning to set now in the southwest. And if we look back towards the east and southeast, we see the fall stars beginning to make an appearance. We have the Great Square of Pegasus right here. We have Andromeda here. Cassiopeia is over here. We described Cassiopeia and these constellations in a previous video. Okay, but right now, in this video, what I would like to do is getting to the topic of this video, the autumnal equinox. What does that mean? Okay, we all know that the Earth is tilted on its axis. Right? That's what gives us the seasons. Think about this. The Earth orbits the sun. Okay, the Earth orbits the sun, and our position on the surface of the planet is what determines how much light we receive from the sun. Okay, because the Earth is tilted, all right, that angle changes constantly as the Earth orbits the sun every year, and that's what gives us the seasons. If the Earth was straight up and down, perpendicular to the plane of the ecliptic, the only thing that would change would be our position on the surface of the globe, and that's what would determine the season. So we would be in perpetual summer, winter, what have you, depending on where you were on the surface of the globe. But because the Earth is tilted by 23.5 degrees, that insolation, the energy we receive from the sun is constantly changing. All right, and that's what drives the seasons. Now, if we take a look at these aspects of the season projected onto the sky, there's the celestial equator, the ecliptic, and we have the meridian. The meridian, as we said, describes the imaginary line running north to south. We see here, let's go over here, this angle here is exactly equal to the Earth's tilt of 23.5 degrees. Going back to what I said a few moments ago, if the Earth were if the axis of the Earth were perfectly perpendicular, then the only thing that would drive any change in temperature on the surface of the planet would be our location on the globe. But because the Earth is tilted, we have this situation. Now, as the sun moves along the ecliptic, described by this red line here, Okay, we're going to go back here to the west, and we're going to bring the sun back. You notice how the sun is moving along the ecliptic. All right, you notice it's not sitting perfectly on top of the celestial equator. Let's zoom in on the sun just to illustrate that point. Okay, you notice that the sun still got a ways to go. Up here, at this point, okay, when the sun crosses this point, getting more and more south of the celestial equator, that will be the official change of the season occurs when the sun crosses this line. Okay? And that happens on Monday, September 23rd. Okay, we zoom back out. And all the objects in the solar system will appear to move along or very close to the plane of the ecliptic. All the constellations that lie on this plane that we call the ecliptic, those are known as the constellations of the zodiac. Okay, that's a lesson we spoke about in a previous video, so we won't spend too much time on that. Okay, so let us continue. Change the date to September 23rd, which we can do. And we can see, actually the autumnal equinox occurs on Monday. This Monday occurs at 7:50, which is 3:50 a.m. Eastern time. Okay, almost 4 a.m. in the morning this Monday. We have the times here. You can find all this information in almanac.com, otherwise known as the Farmer's Almanac, along with a lot of other information and charts and data here. The moon phases calendar, the next full moon, sunrise and sunset, and all this good information that you might need to know. Okay. Extra information is also found here about the equinox. The equinox, the autumnal equinox for not only this year, but 3 years hence. Next year, the 21st, 2021 and 2022. You'll notice that it's generally 23rd, 22nd, and 22nd. Some years it's the 21st. This year it just happens to be on the 23rd, which is actually late. Okay, it's not too often that it occurs on the 23rd. Okay. You can find that information in the Farmer's Almanac or almanac.com. Okay, so here we are. This is the 23rd. We actually have to go back in time to 3:50 a.m. Okay, so this is the date of the this is the sky at 4 a.m. or 3:50 a.m. in the morning of Monday, September 23rd. There's the sun over here. And as we said previously, you can see Mars just peeking above the horizon here at 6 a.m. Okay. Okay, so let's zoom in on the sun. You can see the sun is just past it, only a few hours previous. This is 9 a.m. in the morning. Let's run the clock back to 3 a.m. You see that? The sun is perfectly crossing the celestial equator perfectly, starting to head south. It's from this point forward until the spring next year, the sun will be south of the celestial equator. Okay? And that's what amounts to the official beginning of autumn this Monday. Now I'd like to also point out that there's a beautiful waning crescent moon here this Monday. Right here, waning crescent moon. It's almost a month old, 29.5 days. It's a little bit less than 6 days before new moon. 6 days to go until new moon. It's 29.5 days, the lunar cycle. Okay, we have a beautiful waning crescent moon on Monday. Let's take a look at what it is tonight, the 21st. See? Now the moon is, what we call it, it's actually third quarter moon. That's a third quarter moon. I'm going to zoom in on it. That's perfectly third quarter moon. Okay, and this is what the sky looks like at almost 4 a.m. on tomorrow morning. Actually, that was the sky. It was, this morning. This is what it's going to be like tomorrow morning. This is what it's going to be like tomorrow morning. Yeah, this is tomorrow morning's moon. Sunday, September 22nd. This is our moon. It's a beautiful sky. Okay, with Mars, we said earlier that Mars is going to be peaking right above the horizon. On the sky forward, it's going to be a beautiful morning sky. There's Leo. Leo's rising. There's Regulus. Okay, this is the spring constellation Leo right here. The fall constellations are high overhead. Actually, no, the winter constellations are all in full view. Here's mighty Orion, Canis Major, the great dog, Canis Minor, the lesser dog, is over here. You put the constellations, take a look at that. Okay, here's Taurus the bull, high overhead. Right on the meridian, just past the meridian at almost 6 a.m. in the morning. Okay, so if you're an early riser and you get up at this time to start your day, this is the sky you would see. Okay, friends, I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And as always, please leave your questions and comments in the question box below. And please stay tuned for the next video here at Astronomy for Change.